without further ado, let's get on with tonight's festivities and celebrate the laureates of the Caribbean. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. So I had something prepared, not a very good ad libber, but I first want to say how full my heart is at this point. I mean, when we first began this journey to this really short to this unknown place and this unknown destination, there was something in my heart that said to me that this was not going to be a hard journey. It was going to be a smart journey. It was a matter of pulling the right thread and everything else unraveling before us. And that's what we did. We came to the Center for Fiction. We pitched the idea to Melanie. Melanie was literally the conduit that led to what we have here tonight. And so I want to express a special thanks and gratitude from Melanie and her staff at the Center for Fiction for making what could have been arduous and onerous the most fulfilling walk that each of us on the team, I can fairly say, has ever undertaken to our laureates, our poets, who also, without having a track record of doing Lit Fest, blindly jumped behind us and said, "We're doing this with you. Thank you." For us, this is the time, there's a Caribbean Renaissance taking place. It's not that we never existed, we were always here. And it's our time to speak in our voices, uncompromisingly, unflinchingly. And so, to the team, the midwives, and the OBGYN, Melanie, Melissa, Ifia, Christopher, thank you. And to my Caribbean people, let us get on real bad. Show off, show up. Just do you. Attila, Roger, thank you. And there we go now. There we go. I know what you're going to, we know what you're going to do though. That's the most important part. So there we go. All right.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Listen, don't let this cold, stupid Brooklyn situation confuse you, right? This is a very warm space. And I just want to say to the BCLF crew, thank you so much for this. Thank you so much.
All black woman crew, run things.
Can I just add a salvo to that? Non nomis domine, who would trivalis see. Non sine pulvere pamamam. And the people in the audience who know what that means, I don't have to explain myself any further. Right? So, but anyway, Roger.
Yeah, so this, I don't know, for me, this is really, really exciting and really huge and big. A Brooklyn Caribbean Lit Fest is kind of, I no longer live in Brooklyn, but I'm here like once every 6 weeks. That's how much Brooklyn is. I'm finding an excuse as often as I can. And I came here when I was 19 years old, and so I'm much older than that now. And so Brooklyn has partially raised me. And I want to thank this room for what it represents. And we want to start by giving people the opportunity. All of us have had some way by which our literary awakening came to us. Some person we have to honor, somebody here in Brooklyn, somebody home in your house, wherever you live right now, somebody home in the island you come from. And I want us to start by just acknowledging them. For me, the first person is Hyacinth Bonnier Garden,
Ashe.
forever her. So please, anybody, just start calling out your people. Good. Call out your people loud, man. Anybody, same time.
CLR James. Franz Fano. Anybody
Loveless.
else? Loveless. Shadow.
Black Stallion.
All Stars.
Winston Douglas.
Oh,
Yeah.
Paul Marshall, Toni Morrison.
Viv Richards.
Oh, Ashe.
Michael Anthony.
Bookman, Michael Anthony. Ashe. Yes, yes,
Victor Capel. Yes,
yes.
sir.
Maureen Warner Lewis.
Yes.
Oh, Ashe.
Cousin Wally.
Yes.
I'm Uncle Real Talk shit,
Yeah.
man. He's a center for fiction, you know.
Oh gosh. Any other names? But many names we carry in our hearts, and many names we forget, but we know that they are there with us. And I also want to say that um, as we are joyous here, we spare a thought for our brothers and sisters in Bahamas who are going through it, and we ask the energies, the forces, Huracan, the great Huracan, to blow gently over our tiny islands over the next few months of the hurricane season. Because climate change is real, my friends. Very, very real. But we ain't come here to preach. Well, a little bit. um, we'll get into our performances tonight. We have a great lineup of performers. So let me do it. Let me get into it. Negus Adeyemi was born in the borough of Brooklyn and raised in New Jersey by parents from the island of Barbados. With the fortune of having his father being a calypsonian and a folk musician, he literally grew up around storytelling and performing. It wasn't until he graduated from NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, in 2008 with a BS degree in electrical engineering that he himself began seriously to write poetry. Passionate about his culture and heritage from the time of his conception, Negus displays these and many more emotions in every one of his poems. Exuberant with these emotions, he is very ardent in writing poems about the cultivation and edification of his people. Negus is much more than just a writer. He's also a father, husband, electrical engineer, teaching artist, and owner of Adeyemi Artistry Incorporated. Through his poetic journey thus far, he has performed his poetry at many different venues, including various universities, colleges, prisons, libraries, bookstores, fundraisers, and multiple other events in North America. He has written 4 books of poetry, which include Love, Letting Out Vast Emotions, released in June 2009, Mind of a Mature Lion, 2011, Solar Radiance, 2014, and his latest book, Gemini, May 2017. He's a co-producer of Bajan Brought Up Sea, I love that, the annual Pre-Barbados Independence Cultural Concert. It will be the 5th annual this year, and it is a way of keeping the Bajan culture alive in Brooklyn. Please join us in welcoming Negus Adeyemi.
Good evening. I think I should be good. I can hear me, correct? All right. So, first of all, thank you for coming out. I didn't know I was opening up the show, but we work with it. We work with it. So I'm gonna do some poetry that revolves around the Caribbean. This first poem is about a part of the Caribbean culture that is very prevalent. When you hear it, you will know what it's about. All right, yeah, good. Here we go. We
children of alcoholics, daughters and sons of cane suckers, offspring of free labor, pains, still passing down each generation of intoxicated livers. It's all fun and games until you recognize that that bottle and plantation share the same name and continue to drink up. Don't complain about your treatment because this drink was also in their veins and what they did was not in vain and revenge always tastes the same. So keep sipping. You see, there is a correlation to calling your women sweetness, sweet thing, sugar, sugar plum, unable to get all of that sweet talk from your tongue and how sweet it is. You see, your common sense must be inactive, so let's try another sense. Just look into who and why created rum, keeping you off balance from equilibrium, soon needing a caregiver that delivers, all because you didn't give care to deliver. You see, we now realize that all of those songs about rum till I die was all lies, and as water begins to drop from your eyes, leaving you all bottled up inside with emotions, don't worry, because presently, the only thing you have left now is that bottle, whose contents now matches yours, empty. Thank you. So that is a part of the culture that everyone in the Caribbean can comprehend with, right? Drinks everywhere. My father is has been alcohol free since 2000. Um, I feel that in our culture we speak about the slight feeling of having alcohol, but nobody speaks about the repercussions of it, the after effects, the damage and destruction that it causes to not just the body but the families and everything else. So that's what that poem's about. If y'all do not know, I also have my own greeting card line. So I felt that in the spirit of the Caribbean, I have a greeting card called Caribbean Queen. Not Billy Ocean Caribbean Queen, but something different. So this is how it goes. Caribbean Queen. There is no ocean that is deep enough to refrain me from loving you. You're like a perfectly ripe mango, sugar apple and sugar cane combined, sweet and succulent like sorrel. You are just so absolutely refreshing that I had to give these words as a blessing. I love you. So as you heard in the bio, I was born in Brooklyn. Both my parents are from Barbados. My father's from Christchurch. My mother's from St. Joseph. There is this thought process that a lot of Caribbean people think that when you have a child outside the Caribbean, that child is no longer Caribbean. In my household, that wasn't like that. So many people are amazed at how connected I am to my Bajan culture. But I wrote this poem commemoration for Barbados. It's called Ode to Los Barbados. Azerbaijan, and you is Barbados. 166 square miles of flat land, rotated 180 degrees, replicating Alkebulon, but far from flat in all areas. You see, your bottom sticks out like a Mother Sally Pomper setting, having one always praising Christ's church. Your unique accent stands out like King Dial. Your pulse sounds like a tuck band, pulsating messages to captains navigating land ships, causing the weak at heart to faint, which is why wherever you go, you will always be amongst a saint. 11 parishes of beauty, mirroring the immaculate women you give birth to, with broad and projecting bosses. Y'all know what bosses is? Soft to the touch like cuckoo, The mesmerizing sway of your coconut trees leaves men yearning for a taste of your waters. You see, your fruits always right, which is how the milk of your breadfruits feed the future nations you carry in your womb universe. Cosmological equivalency of a North Star, aligning all of your star children to come home, erecting maypoles, engulf me in your bath. Sheba, African satellite, let us create a queen tonight. There has never been and never will be anything more beautiful, anything your size, whose offspring is so wild. Constantly, academically, soaring to the top like flying fish from St. Lucie, Bridgetown to Spikestown and all around. You see, when I say your name, my spirit jumps like shaggy bears, bounce like green monkeys, and because of that, you will always contain the keys to my heart and soul, even though they won't be needed. Because if anybody else tries to lock me down, I will just break away like Bussa and run home to you until my last breath, with broken trident in hand, knowing that I am your man and you.
Make some noise for Negus. Are you hear me? I tell you, yesterday man come on and mash up with rum drinking one time, bro. As the man reach, man. Elgin Wardali is a playwright and screenwriter born in New York with Grenadian roots. Plays include Blooming in Dry Season, O'Neill National Playwrights Conference finalist, By a Thread, Sundance MENA Theatre Lab semi-finalist, Big Black Balloon, O'Neill National Playwrights Conference finalist, Bishop, O'Neill National Playwrights Conference semi-finalist, Kennedy Center finalist, The Gift, the Network One Act Festival semi-finalist, Home Sweet Home, the Strawberry Festival semi-finalist, Docket 32357, New Works by Young Woman finalist, Charlotte's Song, Judson Church. Films include Docket 32357, winner Audience Choice International Black Film Festival of Nashville, winner Grand Jury Prize, Huffington Post Black Voices, Making Sense of Post-Colonial Life. No, 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 that's a different one. La la la. Breakthrough Theater Series. I did not panic at all. Docket 32357 web series. She received her MFA in playwriting from Fordham Primary Stages as part of its inaugural class. You all make plenty, plenty, plenty noise for Elgin Wardali.
So usually I'm, behind the laptop and behind the page and sitting in the back. So this is something new for me. um, my name is Elgin. I write about the underrepresented, the rum shop owner, the Jack's fisherman, the aspiring soca star. I write about us. My goal is to show the world that Caribbean people don't just exist in the US when it hits 80 degrees. We don't rise in June and set after Labor Day. There is so much more to us than the songs they hear on the radio. We have a rich history and our stories deserve to be told. What I'm going to read to you today is a monologue from a larger play that I'm working on about a woman who came to New York many years ago from Grenada. Like many of our parents, she came here in search of a better life. She laid down roots, married, and started her family. But she had a son whose future was put in jeopardy because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And her only child ended up in prison, thrown in solitary, and committed suicide. Not the American dream she was hoping for. She still goes to the prison where he was held to visit those who have no one to visit them. And this is the story of how she processes her grief. Sit up straight. I tell all my sons that. I read somewhere that when we sit up straight, we ignite positive memories. Think of something good that happened in our lives. Standing tall makes you more powerful. Holding your head up and aligning every bit of your spine so the world can see how amazing you are is strong. It shows them that you are a force, able to withstand whatever it will help with that pain, with your spine. And you have a beautiful spine, my son. My name? When I got here, I signed the book using a special pen because even though you are there and I am here, you have to know that you matter. I signed the book using a special instrument because you are not born out of regular ink. No, you are a beautiful black fountain pen that does not smudge. I use it so when they see I am here to visit you, they will know that you are not like everyone else. You're not just a name on a page, a number. You are majestic. I use special black ink to show my pride for you, beautiful boy. See, I know your struggles very well, but remember, your spine will keep you strong. Even on those days when the heavy becomes too much and you start to bend, don't break. Never break. You stand up straight, dear. No, no one told me about you. No one had to tell me about you. I just knew you were here. And now you know, I will be too. My boy never stood still. He smiled all the time. That's what I like to remember about. The world was too small for him, I fear. His only crime was being black is the color I saw when I got the news. Fell down, hurt my spine, but I got up. See, your fear will always be my fear, my son. You might think you are the one in prison, abandoned and alone, but no, I am there with you, stuck in this small box the heart is too big to contain. Do not listen to the poison that calls your name. When you are angry and troubled, do not let it call your name. You call mine. I will always answer, and I will keep answering until there's no one left. Please, do not leave me here alone. Do not be like my son. Listen to me. I will keep you safe and feed you what will nourish your soul. Did you know you can still be great in this world? It's because you never stopped. Never think the world doesn't need you. You have purpose. They can't take that from you. My son, they can't take your woke mind. My son, I know you are overgrown, too big for this small space, but my name? You may call me whatever you like, as long as you stand up straight. Please, let me be your positive memory. Let me be your positive memory. Let me be your positive memory. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elgin. Please give her another round of applause. I am panicking. No? Roger, what you do with the thing? Okay. All right. Somebody sing a song. Okay, here we go. Ariel John is investing in the West Indian future. A millennial writer, arts educator, and cultural researcher, she embodies any notion of rootlessness as she deftly shifts between her native Trinidad and Tobago and its diaspora, attempting to discern through self election of her generation her role in navigating a quick shifting planet. That movement is poetry, performance, mass, and disability studies. She tackles making sense of post colonial life by attempting to translate how Caribbean people have adapted to and survived their subjection, in itself a kind of obia. A Callaloo Fellow, Goldsmiths alumna, and youth mentor within the International Brave New Voices Network. Her most recent piece of labor looks at the ritual performance of divine femininity within the Trinidad Carnival and the devised solo performance about Blue, staged in 2018. The BCLF loudly welcomes this courageous poet storyteller into its fold for 2019. Ariel John.
Hi, person with the mic stand. Can I get the mic stand back, or has it left the room? It's where? Oh, no. Sorry, it's invisible. There we go. All right. Good evening, everyone. It is an honor, an absolute honor, to be here with you all this evening. And congratulations to the Brooklyn Caribbean Literature Festival team. You all are amazing. This mic stand is also. Thank you. I want to break the people business. I don't have a budget for that. Yay! Thank you so much. Gracias, blessings. Yes, hi. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thank you for supporting the work. And I have some poems for you all this evening. To name something is to define it. It is to say something about that thing you have decided to give a name. It is a way of limiting that thing and reducing it down to syllables with an idea on its back. It is the exorcist's first question to the spirit possessing the child: what is your name? Because to know the name of a thing is to not know what it is called, but to learn what it answers to. It is the first grab at trying to control it. To name something is to give it a spirit that controls how that thing is defined. It is to assign a spirit to possess a thing so that it becomes identifiable by a name that is a jumble of syllables with ideas on their backs. And on our humble side of the Atlantic, people have two names parading as their first. They have the one their mother give them, and then the next one, the second one, that is more holy and wholesome than anything that the Black and West Indian parents could ever manage. That is the name of a Catholic saint who died on the same date that the baby is born. Note well, Catholics do not reincarnate. The name is just a symbol. A symbol for the idea that the baby being born is not saintly enough on his or her own merit and has to shadow a more pure and holy person with more gentler skin tone and more heavenly attributes to make it onto St. Peter's guest list. And it's heaven that make things this way, and not Columbus and his sponsoring megachurch. The mother given name is a secret one, only making it as far as the birth certificate typewriter font. And none of my grandmother's 10 boy children go by their government name. They go by jokes sweeter at family barbecues. They go by my grandmother's will to protect them from fire. They go by whatever people feel to call them on the street. Short man, tall man, red man, rasta man, gold teeth, blue tooth. They go by these lettered decoys that protect them from the unkind tongue, because you need to have the real name of a person for the purposes of obia. You need to have the full name of a person for the purposes of bad mind. You want to have the real name of a person for the purposes of cussing them out in the road and feeling like it's really going to do them something. My uncles are guarded by these saint names, these names of men who are already dead and undone, as though these sons of slaves have already survived the battle, the burning, the burial. They wear these masked names proudly as talismans, invincible to a world that cannot claim them, cannot assign its weak spirits to their bodies and tell them who they are. In a world that wants to cast them out as outcasts in their humble, irreverent, and unsaintly skin. Thank you. Right. So about names, this second poem is mostly a story about my own name. Also, Brooklyn, what is this weather? I didn't pack for this. I didn't plan for this. Nowhere in my Friday evening schedule. I was expect. Okay, all right. Next poem. Good Catholics do not believe in horoscopes. I just happen to be Aries and named Ariel. The left corner of my grandmother's bedroom against the paint peeling wall is a stack of prayer books filtered by dry hibiscus leaves, a string of wooden rosary beads, and a folded monthly astrology book hidden beneath these charms. My mother said she named me after a fragrance from a Vogue magazine by the hairdresser. Too poor to ever own a bottle of it, she would rip out the pages when Mrs. Sheena wasn't watching, would smear the page on her skin before spending evenings with my now father. The parish priest who convinced my parents to marry told them that Ariel was the name of an archangel who looked after the land, the air, the sea, and all things that lived in them. A lover named David once told me that Ariel was another name for the city of Jerusalem, also known to be the place where David settled. But we both had forgotten by then that people are never land to be lived on and that it was never in his particular nature to settle anyway. My name tosses me against a Disney movie's plotline. A mermaid named Ariel who loses her voice in honor of the man that she loves. The mermaid wants to become something that she is not, a human, so that the man would love her. And in the end, she chooses this biped terrestrial human form, and well, they get married. My name tosses me against this very disagreeable Disney movie plotline, and that is how David left, disappointed that the sea did not bend or split down the middle as water sometimes does for somebody to walk through her holy house with their dirty feet. My middle name comes from an Irish saint, the patron of difficult pregnancies, but I have never asked my mother what about my birth was the most difficult. Was it the actual exertion of labor, or was it the fact that she spent her time being shamed by nurses for carrying a miracle, for daring to house a miracle in a Christian country? Or was it the fact that she brought another girl to this planet with the double potential for unmarried disappointment? My mother's name means Star of the Sea, a title also given to the Mother of Christ, a very Caribbean thing to do, to root your children in the vicinity of the ocean. And my parents found each other on an island that generations of settlers had to journey to. And when they got married, my last name changed from Johnson to John. And my mother explains that she dropped the son because she had a daughter who she named after a fragrance she could not afford, named after the saint she thanks for a miracle, named after an angel who protects the planets, named after a city that no man is promised. I am settling into my name, sometimes a difficult pregnancy. Thank you. And also, I would like to note as well, since Kaimila is in the room, that those poems about names came out from a workshop with Kaimila many years ago. If you don't like the poem, just forget I said that. But thank you, Kai, and thank you to all the ancestors and everybody who comes before me, and hoping to carry on the legacy of Caribbean literature. So, thank you. Speaking of elders, are there folks in here that are familiar with David Rudder? Of course. All right. So this is a dedication to the remnants of Labor Day on the Parkway. Can you hear a distant drum bouncing off the laughter of a melody? And does the rhythm tell you, come, 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 come? Does your spirit do a dance to its symphony? And does it tell you that your heart is afire? And does it tell you that your pain is a liar? And does it wash away all your unlovely? And are you ready for a brand new discovery? We singing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, calypso. We singing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, calypso. The morning sees that the people have been waiting the way they were the night on the oil spill down their legs, bronze flesh glazed black and then glow in the dark torches and then fluorescent paint, smearing face, tribal, war and ready, djembe drum, beat metal, knock glass and then chip. This morning, the sun is dancing down Empire Boulevard. The tangerine silk of her cape is wiping awake the faces of her children. The sea of color is multiplying itself and draining people out from tenements, out from their sleep, onto the sidewalk, and is now washing the streets with music. This morning, Brooklyn is the safest place away from MacBook DJs and music trucks with their cruise and boombox speakers. All we have are our instruments, our rhythm sections, hand claps, heart thumps, and chapters of dancing from our history. I hear them say the music is a restless spirit. I hear they had to warn NYPD about this. I hear how West Indians just take all their culture and import everything down to where they settle. I hear the Caribbean having a problem with criminals. I hear them talk about canceling the parade every year, but Eastern Parkway is a bomb scare of a block party below the angry sun and sea of liquor. We are crowds of color, beads, feathers, and then red. We are congestion, then clearing and people stampeding down train station steps. We are gunshot wounds to the head and ambulances stuck in parading traffic. We are magic turned morning before the end of the day. We are glitter dusted bullet shells fleeing in masquerade. And I cannot explain the guns. What came first, the islands or the criminals? The name West Indian came from a murderer, Christopher, and Carnival was the name of a struggle fought for freedom. There are more policemen than they have food vendors out here with Trinidad and Jamaica pushing world rates of violence. So, can you then explain to me what culture is? I just think that we have mastered exporting it. I just think that we have mastered becoming it. Thank you.
Make some more noise for Ariel John. The homie Damaris B. Hill is the author of A Bound Woman is a Dangerous Thing, The Fluid Boundaries of Suffrage, and Jim Crow, Staking Claims in the American Heartland. She has a keen interest in the work of Toni Morrison and theories regarding rememory as a philosophy and aesthetic practice. Hill has studied with writers such as Lucille Clifton, Monifa Lavasante, Natasha Trethewey, Nikki Finney, David Rivard, Deborah Willis, and others. Her development as a writer has also been enhanced by the institutional support of the MacDowell Colony, Vermont Studio Center, Bread Loaf Writers Conference, Key West Literary Seminar Writers Workshops, Callaloo Literary Writers Workshop, the Institute for Digital Research in the Humanities, the Project on the History of Black Writing, the Watering Hole Poetry, the Furious Flower Poetry Center, and others. Similar to her creative process, Hill's scholarly research is interdisciplinary. Hill is an associate professor of creative writing at the University of Kentucky. Give some love to Damaris B. Hill.
Hi, people. Hi. Thank you for inviting me. What wasn't in the bio is that my mother hails from Bermuda. So I am probably three of 28 grandchildren that don't live there. And that's a part of me, you know? So I'm also a weirdo and very anxious about all things. That'll come out in the poetry. Tuna fish and cans. I'm anxious about Starkiss, disturbed by chicken in the sea, neurotic as Sylvia Plath embodied by the bumblebee. Tuna in cans frightens me. What to make of flesh preserved? The thread of rust rings drifting, the lateral line of my canary spine, a jaundiced memory. Tuna in cans frightens me. All the curves cut, a never ending razor rim, shards of iron frost splash. When flipping tops open, I might spill over. The scars at my wrist still itch. Nothing fits without clinging. Every dream is a lesson, and last night I rocked in a wood bed with sisters and splinters shoved between the flesh and the ship's rib. There are 40 or more feet with shackle shaved ankles, bone white and wet. We flop like fish on board. I'm returning to the beginning where I first learned to love windows that sting rain, seas, and suns. They be better than he who guards me, the one who says he is starved for the meat of mermaids. My shoulders shred in his salt rock kisses. My sister was born, veiled and wise. Her nose leaks a salve for my wounds. A sister that shares, she stares and believes in ghosts. She whispers that ancestors crowd in the oils of our eyes. She is waning for rescue. She hums a visceral harmony that carries across the rhythms of the waves. I am frightened for tuna in cans, horrified that they may drown in the Atlantic, aghast that they have been dragged across oceans, netted, maybe noosed, fit to be gobbled, in glut, in the belly of a hole, skin shiny black and scales, feet limber like fins. We be schooled here in this blood splattered wilderness, shifting soils like tides. So I do believe that like everything that touches us changes us. But likewise, I believe that probably my most authentic self is my black girlhood self, the things that I clung to as I was beginning to know who I was before this academy shifted me or tampered with me or perverted me or however you want to say it. Um, so Alice Walker reminds us that womanish is the opposite of girlish, and womanish is the opposite of frivolous, is the opposite of irresponsible, and it's the opposite of not serious. So the next two poems that I'm going to read you are prose poems, and they are written to two Caribbean women with the last name of Jones. One is a Trini woman, Claudia Jones, and the other one is a Jamaican woman, Grace Jones. Um, and these letters are written to Black women that are actively engaged in resistance. And I wrote the letters as I was drafting A Bound Woman is a Dangerous Thing because I wanted an intimate relationship, not only with the women that I was writing about, but I wanted the relationship to extend throughout the women in the book. So I had to write to them and have these conversations. And I don't care if you think I'm crazy. I listen to the voices in my head and people pay me for it. So whatever, you know? So yeah, here we go. Miss Good Sister Ella Baker, you still think I switch my tail too much? Pray for me. Pray grace. Pray I get some grace. That goddess that wears a peacock feather gilded in the gap of her teeth. You know her, the woman with glittered gospels in her hat. One side white with fright, the other side deep soiled with pleasure. She has one hip angled for effect, pushed straight through to her knees. She is the clap of linoleum. She giggles her genitals in her hands like beloved Gentiles. The saints say Grace wears her beauty like shark's teeth. The thought of her makes Aphrodite evil. She knows Grace is the second coming, the one to make fathers forget their daughters and daddies forget their baddie cravings. She is fire and brimstone beautiful. The smell of her is enough to blind a man. Heard her stares in afterlife and every evening. Heard Orpheus abandon his beautiful boys and took up Grace folds. He was thick with confessions. He begged to be forgiven and cast the mirrors out of Eden. I found him there, pining for her, chewing on the shards, snapping in zigzags. Love, Dee Dee. Dear Dr. Angela Davis, Ronald Reagan and the rest of them devils burnt your dissertation to smother your brilliance. They failed, and you still smarter than the whole lot of them. You told me about Miss Claudia Jones, said she was the best social scientist since Ida B. Wells, and since I'm trying to grow up and be ignited behind the eyes and between the ears, I read like you told me. An end to the neglect of the problems of the Negro women. And Miss Jones stated it plain how most every black woman running around cleaning up the messes of white folk or merely wishing for their freedom. To fix her for telling, they sent Miss Jones, this West Indian woman, to a prison way in West Virginia, the same place they stowed away Auntie Asada. That's where I suspect Miss Jones taught her to walk on water. Next thing we know, Auntie Asada is bumping hips to Bob Marley in Cuba. Huh, like matters. They scared to death of Miss Jones' writing. They rig a boat to take her back east over the Atlantic to the island of rock and snow, where the pirates receive all types of refuge. No matter, I remember. I see her left of everything. She is left of dawn that's circled in a star, the one that shaves the dark. She is left of the stripes and the flag that snare and desire to lynch her. A nation is built brick by brittle brick, blood in the martyr. But a legacy is built page by sacred page, calling out for Claudia. Love, Dee Dee. Um, and the final one I'm going to read is going to be coming up, I guess, in the next book. Um, and it's about things that like most of us are familiar with, right? So when I was younger, I'm old, but when I was younger, they would say a man is trying to grow you. Y'all know what that means? It's like a man is like it's like an older guy looking at a younger girl, and he's like choosing her, right? And she may be pretty and she may not be pretty, but this guy is always fine. This older guy is always cool, and he's always, you know, picking you out and making you think you're special. And he may save you for later. This is what he tells his friends. Or, you may see him soon, you know? Um, so I recently saw the guy that was trying to grow me now that I'm 45. And he's in his 50s and he was still fine. He was still fine. And he was staring at me, but cat had my tongue. So how the tongue holds, and this is for an incident, and we should think of Claude McKay and Natasha Trethewey. His tongue is covered in 24 shades of fur. He howls compliments, plucks me from the pack. Maybe I am fit to be one of them, these bitches in booty shorts, the kind of girl that glitters, a glamorized gargoyle of high school legend. The fates are older. They're 16. They wear pomegranate lips. Their words are tainted shades of myth. He paints everything money green. His gold plated tires take the face of black licorice in a wedding plate. His high rise apartment windows surge sun rays. I have nothing left to be. I'm electric sweat in his palms. My protest, a scratched 45, tugged on a turntable. I don't remember music. My age is one candle more than a dozen, still seven short of a score. He is a man. He has two plastic rulers worth of tongue and a second scepter for conjure. There is only one way to say no, and I am too young to lie.
Well, yes. Damaris, sway. Please give her another round of applause. Lauren K. Allen hails from the Twin Island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. Her fiction, poetry, and nonfiction have been widely published in journals and anthologies, including The Atlantic, Miss Muse, Women's Studies Quarterly, Interviewing the Caribbean, Crab Orchard Review, among many others. She is author of Difficult Fruit, 2014, and Honeyfish, um, uh, which was published by New Issues US and People Tree UK in 2019. Her work has been awarded many honors, most recently the Philip Freund Alumni Prize for Excellence in Publishing from Cornell University 2017, the Green Rose Prize for New Issues Press 2017, the Split This Rock Poetry Prize 2016, the Picador Guest Professorship in Literature at the University of Leipzig, Germany 2015, and an Iowa Arts Council Fellowship 2014. In 2015, the journal Ithaca Lit named this annual prize the Lauren K. Allen Difficult Fruit Poetry Prize. Allen currently resides in Virginia, USA, where she is an associate professor of English at James Madison University, assistant director of the Furious Flower Poetry Center, and editor in chief of The Fight and the Fiddle. Lauren K. Allen, please welcome her.
Hello, hello. Yes, thank you for noticing my red, white, and black. Trinidad, my born. Anyway, um, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for organizing this incredible festival, for bringing all these amazing people together. Melanie is a friend of mine, and she gave my name into the hat, and I'm grateful for it. I want to start off with a poem from Difficult Fruit. We put names in the air at the beginning, and I had a godmother who left for America. And that was sort of my first sort of inkling, of a space that was in Trinidad. Um, and this is a letter to Auntie Patsy. I can hear your laugh, the breathlessness you'd clamp your hand around your shoulders, working up and down like wings. You were my first lavish crush. The promise of summers in your new country dulled the edge of your leaving for America, where everything was made and it snowed. For years we yelled, "Bye bye, Auntie Patsy," every time a plane passed over the house. Those mysterious birds, night's unsteady stars. Now I am here in the country I labeled yours before you disappeared. Before the envelopes, their stamps like trails, stopped brightening the mailbox, and the birthday bills tucked into singing cards no longer made their way to our piggy banks. Gone, the hearts above the flourish of your name. For 2 decades, I've imagined you here, your face hidden behind the times on the subway, your fingers dropping change in every hungry cup. Before you left, you whirled me around the living room until we collapsed giggling. We chanted the months until I would come to you like prayers. You saved our pictures. You wait and wait for me to find you. That's about- Um, in the new book, it goes all over the place. But I wanted to start with a place that if you are here, you should be familiar with, and that is outside the US Embassy. This is a Visa Villanelle. First, the gathering of proof. Your life's story reduced to a paper jam of required documents, evidence of the right shape of your history. Surrender every expectation of privacy. Release the statements, provide your fingerprints, prove you have nothing to hide. Your life's story unremarkable in its mundane trajectory of dream, desire, struggle, overcoming, testament to the harmless shape of your history. Leave home at midnight. Drive through the wee hours to arrive at the embassy door first with your gathered proof, your rehearsed story. Stand in the chilled, street-lit dark, pray the rosary, repeat again and again to still your heavy beating heart. You have the evidence, all the right forms. This is but a footnote in your history. Dawn, sunlight opens the day like a key. Wipe the weary from your eyes, enter, state your intent, offer the proof of your life, tell its story, provide evidence, give it the shape that will become your history. I didn't lie, right? At the event at 3 o'clock at the bookstore, there was a discussion of parents and particularly mothers and the complications of the relationship, especially when they try to leave. And that's one thing. My mother had never come to America when she let me come here at the age of 18. This is my mother who never let me sleep over at anybody's house because she said, "You have a perfectly good bed here. I will pick you up whatever time." Right? So I always admired whatever it is. She just recognized in me that wasn't going to stick around, and she did not do all the things that a lot of my friends' mothers did to keep them. So this is an ode to my parents. Root and reach, you are the unlike likenesses haunting my mirror, possessing my throat, shout, and song. You are stalwart twin pillars holding me up. A girl made of so much air, you lose sight of her as she sighs her way into spaces you dreamed or never thought to. You who mattered me into being, you who scored ocean into my spirit, placed all my possibility into the hands of a God you cannot see but still believe worthy of faith. How you hold me still, your disappeared daughter, your prodigal progeny, whose return you celebrate again and again, whose absence you read as testimony, not abandonment. Beloved earth, from whom emerged this reckoning of a woman, the unfed beast of her hunger, you who pushed and planted and pruned, you who promised more than you could afford and delivered, you of the open hands and doors and hearts, you who let me take my new name, go, you who renamed yourselves, always, you who remain. So, we were talking earlier as well about the difference in Black American culture and Caribbean culture and some of the absorption and tension and of that relationship. Our cousins here, who we get mistaken for sibling, it happens. And this a moment of that was I was talking to the poet Frank X. Walker, and he said he didn't know how to swim, and I responded with like, "What? What's wrong with you?" And he said there were no pools for black folks when I was coming up, which shut me up appropriately, um, and then resulted in a poem because it can't really ever shut me up. Variations in Blue for Frank X. Walker. In Sleep's 3D theater home, a green island surrounded by the blue of ocean. Zoom to the heart, see the Couva swimming pool filled with us, black children shrieking our joy in a haze of sun. Our lifeguard Rodney, his skin flawless and gleaming, black as fresh oil, his strut along the pool's edge, his swoon-worthy smile. Daddy, a beach ball bellied Poseidon, droplets diamonding his afro, my brother hollering as he jumps into air, gasping and triumphant. And there, the girl I was, dumpling thick and sun brown, stripped down to the red two-piece suit my mother had made by hand, afloat in the blue bed of water, the blue sky beaming above. When I wake up, I'm in America, where Dorothy Dandridge once emptied a pool with her pinky. And in Texas, a black girl's body, draped in its hopeful tasseled bikini, struck earth instead of water. A policeman's blue clad knees pinning her back, her indigo wail a siren. I want this to be the dream, but I am awake. And in this place, where the only blue named home is a song, and we are meant to sink to sputter, to drown. And sometimes home is a person. I had a friend, Anton. He died 5 years ago at the age of 41, playing football. It was how he would have wanted to go if he picked. And um, it was a moment when I really come to reckon. You know, a story about Anton. Mommy picked me up from the airport going home, and there's this car following us. And we're like, there's a car following us. We can't see what's happening. And we turned into the little trace we live in, and the car turned into. So mommy's like, all right, what we doing? What we doing? I know we're waiting, and then out comes Anton, and I was just like, boy, he's like, I saw your head in the car, so I follow you, right? Like right, that's my boy. So this is a gathering of light for Anton. In your face, dark as midnight, in the rasp of your voice, scratching the distance between us, oceans, cornfields, years of never enough time in the hours we spent on the simple pleasures, bowls of hot corn soup from your favorite street vendor, cold Friday night beer swallowed under the stars, the crush of bodies in a fete with music so ecstatic it became our breathing, in our sturdy drawbridge silences, in the ocean days. In the restlessness of me, my aching, endless reaching, in the unsteady vessels of my dreams, so slight the waves that carried them, so slight against the waves that carried them. In the way you were beacon, compass, and harbor, marking the place where home began, anchoring me to the solid earth of your heart, safe. In the earth now, your body, in what must remain, in what must be given over to memory's safekeeping, in the way the sky holds you and shines. And the last poem I'll read is going back to difficult fruit. In this book, I followed my friend Damaris, and I wrote a lot of letters to myself. When you talk to yourself, they commit to you. When you write to yourself, you get published. Letter to my 15-year-old self. 15, okay, the first line requires a suspension of disbelief. 15, I'm writing from 29 to tell you we live. I remember our dreams, the long white halls with no end, and how, when we tried to imagine life after convent, it was blank and solid as a grave. We thought that meant there was no future for us, and practiced accepting our absence from our own lives. No more best friendships, school dances, no more yearning for boys to whom we were already invisible. Now we are almost twice your age. The face we couldn't envisage is yours, but leaner, with shadows of mom in its profile. In 2 years, we will step on our first plane and fall in love with flight. We will move like wind across the world. We conjugate French class verbs in Paris and Nice. We follow Jesus to Bethlehem and Galilee. We have lived in places you do not yet know exist. I see now that it will all begin with you. The path away from home marked with nothing. Who could walk it but the girl who had already made peace with her own end? 15, looking back, I understand our quiet death wait, the surprise of our persistent daily waking. We never could have imagined this. Thank you.
Make some more noise for Lauren and Lynn. Mr. Jeff Dess is a dynamic public speaker, author, poet, MC, and professor of Haitian descent. The native New Yorker known as the disruptive educator is also the co-founder of the educational platform and consulting firm Trill or Not Trill. With over 10 years of experience in higher education, he has trained and mentored over 1,000 students and staff members across the Northeast. Jeff is the author of 5 books, including his latest, Trill Motivation, and is the co-author of the forthcoming text, I Wear Kicks to Work. I like that book already. He's a TEDx speaker who has also performed poetry and hip hop in Indonesia and South Africa. He has delivered lectures, workshops, and talks to over 10,000 students at over 70 colleges and universities, including Columbia University, Princeton University, and St. John's University. Jeff has partnered with such major companies and organizations as Twitter, BuzzFeed, Madison Square Garden, Essentia Water, the Embassy of Haiti, and the US Department of Labor, and has been featured in Ebony Magazine, The Root, and Urban Cusp Magazine. He currently serves as the director of the Center for Leadership and Engagement at New Jersey City University. Make some noise for Mr. Jeff. Yes.
And so, you have Millie rocked yourself to sleep, and your yachts are too little to box with gods, too small to spar with ancestors. So, with that, keep your money but give back the manipulation. A penny for your thoughts, $1 and a dream. Dreams cost nothing and remain worthless if you refuse to stay woke. Insomniac acrobats are flipping the words and flipping the bird to those extended Twitter fingers. Black lives don't matter to many, but hey, neither do facts. Facebook raping the mind with the falsities, though you gave them consent. Stuck. You've been a mannequin who never embraced movement. So the challenge wasn't a challenge to you. Damn, Daniel, why didn't you warn me about those transphobic racist posts? Posted up, blinded by ultraviolet waves crashing through my membrane, and the water hails from Flint and or Newark. So we are violently convulsing from the poison that penetrates our babies. Your Uzis are too little to shoot with gods, too small to spit with storytellers. Reclaim the lanes and represent, set precedents, put dents in the presidents before they become presidents. Reclaim our and your consumption, obese from the exploitation. Today is the new day, and we are the disruptors who shall not blink at the sun penetrating our psyche. We have shed too many tears, but we were born in a body of water, oh so powerfully pure. Systematic strangleholds, but we've got next. Hung juries in court, but we've got next. Keep trying to play me, and you'll see who's got next. The disruption starts now, and we've got next. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here today. Big shout out to, I got to represent for the Haitians, you know what I'm saying? Saga fed haïtien qui nan kalam wola women. Abonti Creole sou moun sa. That was me speaking Creole. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. As I said, this is just such a beautiful presence of people and such a beautiful, beautiful event. So I just wanted to say, let's give another round of applause to the amazing people who put this together. And low key, Roger's like a goat. Low key, he acting all humble out here, man. This guy's not even low key, high key, monster. So this next piece, I was born here in New York City, but my parents came from Haiti in the 1970s, and I always think about the conversations that are happening about immigration today, and think about how immigration has changed in the last 40, however many years. And the conversations that are happening today are not too dissimilar to some of the conversations that are happening in the 2000s, and the 1990s, and the 1980s, and the 1970s. I think today it's just more it seems more prevalent because there's just more media, right? So there's more eyes, more voices, so we see it more. But it never, I always felt like being just a child of an immigrant, we had to go through some things. So I don't even know if that has anything to do with this next piece, but I just wanted to say that. I had to get it off my chest, right? I had to just say some things. He loved British accents, how regal they were, how smart they sounded, the idiosyncrasies within each syllable, the sophistication and the sexiness. They were second to none. And the power. He loves the power. But see, the fake versions, see, they were the worst, especially those incomprehensible Jamaican knockoffs. Those weren't real London accents. In fact, he hated English as a second language altogether, or as a fourth language. He listened carefully to how people pronounced words such as asterisk and aluminum, or Massachusetts. Also, eagle and imperialism and Ronald Reagan. He loves to visit their resorts and travel to all you can drink Caribbean cruises, if their beaches are pristine enough, of course. He doesn't get off the ship to visit unless the guided tours accept the real dollar. And the rum punches, they got to be stiff enough to assure that he forgets all the mistakes that he's about to make. He loves countries who participate in the Winter Olympics. He doesn't watch the bobsled team for obvious historical reasons. He loves when he can watch Americans pass time together, but hates when they serve as translators for the Dominican players. He hates when they call it football and not soccer, and paint their faces certain colors and block the TV with their flags and no, don't drink Bud Light. He loves tropical foods, of course, but not spicy. But hot tamale, red pepper, fiery Latinas are the exception to the rule. Burrito bowls from Chipotle were a favorite because it was food made with integrity. Unlike those tacos from the local spot, whose ingredients are clearly criminally tainted. He loves tequila drinkers who dance on tables and bounce after one too many body shots on Cinco de Mayo while wearing sombreros from H&M or Urban Outfitters. He loves when they talk about Big Macs from back home because he loves what McDonald's stands for. If they are Muslim, they have to be from Egypt or somewhere near the pyramids. He hates Arabic spoken in public. He hates outward mentions of Allah. He hates hijabs, but he loves to think about what's going on under there. He is fine with the Spanish as long as they look like that hottie from Modern Family or J Lo. He loves J Lo, but only when they call her J Lo, not when they call her Jennifer Lopez. He loves the way that black colored skin glistens in the sun, way more than it does at night. Dark chocolate is exotic, and he loves how smooth their blackberry molasses melanin felt on his fingers. The contrasting hues just looked special up against each other, especially in the nude. He loves to secretly watch big booty Africans on selected websites. He hates Nigerian doctors and Haitian lawyers and Guyanese pilots. He doesn't even like Indian actors or Cameroonian cab drivers or Dominican consultants or Sudanese scientists and St. Lucian writers and Cambodia. He doesn't like any of them. He loves Norwegian models, though, and Argentinian beach volleyball players. I mean, he loves what he loves, and he loves the perfect immigrant. Thank you. I'm going to read one more. And this last poem, for me, it encompasses. So I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, in New York City. Thank you, Queens, coming to Brooklyn. I hear you. It's a struggle, but we here, right? Man, there's one of us. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I love that borough, man. So yeah, I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, and one of the dichotomies of that lifestyle was that inside of the apartment, I was Haitian, spoke the language, ate the food, listened to the music. That was it. Um, in the streets outside of my apartment building, you were an African American. You were black. You rocked Timbs. You said the N word. Things like that. Um, So when I think about all of these things and all of this drama and nonsense and all of these problematic issues that were going and conflicting against one another, I wrote this piece because what you realize is that a lot of us are so much the same, right? We all eat rice and beans in some sort of format. You know what I mean? There's a lot of us. If you're not a vegetarian like I am, then you don't eat, pork and fried pork chunks and chicharrones and whatever other pork meats you eat. Um, so when I wrote this, what I wanted to do was really touch upon the conversation of growing up in an apartment in Jamaica, Queens, New York City, as a young Haitian American. Sorry about that. I'm a little taller. I am. I am. Shout out to my Haitians. Sac passe, sac a fait, not boule. Now hold on, I'm gonna start this over again. So this last poem, it's about high energy and talking to y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Girl, we out here. You know what I mean? Y'all are like, yes, please tell me another word. Nah. Feel free to talk back, have some fun. So sac passe, you hear me? You okay? So let's start that again. Shout out to all my Haitians. Sac passe. Now we talking about it. Sac a fait, sac passe, not boule. But to the rest of you and all of my lovely people, sac passe. Not boule. Let me tell you what it was like growing up in New York City as a Haitian American. Okay, where do I start? First, slaves to get freedom. Boom, in your face. Yep, that was us. Can you say, yes, can you say 1804, boom, 1804 in the building? That's right. And we have that red and blue, he said, blue, and we have that red and blue flag. It says L'Union fait la force on it. And see, that was hanging in my apartment, hanging right next to these four guys who I had no clue who they were until my dad had to tell me who they were. Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Pétion, Christophe. Yeah, you already know our historians are in the building. Okay, so we also had this music that was blasting, and the songs, my friends, were so long. I swear, I once danced with my grandma for 14 minutes to a record by a group named Tabu Combo. Oh, yeah. Now, let me tell you, there was this other guy by the name of Coupe Clouet. So, Coupe Clouet was this bald headed Haitian man who would sing about, how should I put this? Okay. One of my memories was he had this song about putting keys into keyholes. I also once heard this man say, wine me, dine me, 69 me. I'm a 9-year-old singing wine me, dine me, 69. I had no clue what that even meant. My parents grew up in a town where you were either two bands, Tropicana or Septa. There was no in between. It was like East Coast versus West Coast. It was like Biggie Smalls versus Tupac. It was like the Bloods and the, okay, it wasn't like the Bloods and the Crips. But it was bad. It was bad. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you some more. We listened to politics all day. All day. on the radio. See, there was this radio station. It was called Radio Tropical, which was literally 24 hours. And my dad had it on 24 hours. Radio Soleil, which aired from Brooklyn, right around here, was also around. There was also this thing called Les Haïtiens, and if the radio wasn't there, there was also this newspaper called Haïti Observateur. See, but of course, how can I forget the food? Oh my God, I love the food, right? So there's the food. There's this thing, I don't know if you know, it's called soup jumu, right? Oh my God, yes. And soup jumu, in our culture, we eat it on New Year's. My mom actually made it every single Sunday. And in there, there's like this squash, and then there's beef, and then there's pasta and celery and potatoes and carrots, and then you put it in a bowl, but it wasn't always in a bowl, it was a bowl of butter. You ever have the crockett, the brown? That's where we ate our soup. Those were our bowls, and I loved it every single day that I had that soup. We've also got these patties, beef, chicken, and my favorite was the beef. It was better than dumplings and empanadas. And listen, I know the Jamaican community loves their patties, but I love mine. Oh, I forgot. There's also this rum barbecue, but don't tell my mom that I've been drinking that since I was 14 years old. I mean, it's like juice. Yeah, don't tell my mother. On to sports. Okay, we got to keep this party moving. On to sports, which means only really one sport, and that's soccer. I mean, football, which really only means one team, and that is the Brazilian national team, right? So we didn't root for any other soccer team but them every single day. Pele. Jerzinho. Yeah, see now, some Haitians, they root for Argentina. But see, we don't trust those Haitians. They're the ones who think Maradona was better than Pele. Okay, yeah, have your fun. And guess what? There were also Haitian kids at school too. Did you know that? Did y'all know that there were Haitian kids at school too? Because I didn't at first. I had no clue. I had no clue that Christopher was Haitian. Then one day his mom came yelling for him, Christopher! Christopher! That's how you pronounce Christopher. It's Christopher. You get it, right? Okay. Yes, Christopher. Only a Haitian mama will pronounce it like that. One day, Vanessa, right? Vanessa Pierre, who knew, pulled out a bonbon lambidon. Now, for those of you who may not know what a bonbon lambidon, it was this hard cookie that literally melted in your mouth. And when I saw Vanessa pull out that bonbon lambidon from her lunchbox, I said, Vanessa's Haitian. But in all seriousness, we are a hardworking group, right? As all Caribbeans really are. My parents, they sacrificed vacations for our education. And speaking of the valued education, doctor, lawyer, engineer. Those were the only options. The only options. I mean, seriously, it was doctor, lawyer, or engineer. I mean, my sister's a doctor. I mean, I'm neither of the three, but look at me now, right? And see, we had to figure that out. And see, they may label us, my friends, as the poorest country in the hemisphere, but from where I look at it, we're richer than anyone else. And that's what it was like growing up in New York City as a Haitian American. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. I always got to do the quick plug. You know what I'm saying? Make sure if y'all are on social media, holler at me at Mr. Jeff Dess, MrJeffDess. We're all about doing this work. Shout out to all my Caribbean Massive. Peace.
More noise for Jeff Dess. I'm so happy to be able to share a stage with his brethren. Burnett Coburn was born in the parish of St. Andrew, Jamaica. At about age 10, he was paid a small fortune of 2 shillings and 6 pence. How old are you, man? They paid this man in Dickens, yes? Two shillings and sixpence for an essay he wrote in class. A year later, he wrote a novel and sent it off to a publisher in New York, unaided by parents or teachers. Burnett later shifted his focus to writing essays when he became a student at the nation's theater school, then called the Jamaica School of Drama, or JSD. Today, it is known as the Edna Manley College. Burnett is the proud recipient of the Greta Fowler Memorial Scholarship awarded to promising theater arts students. After leaving JSD, he migrated to New York, where he exercised the technical skills he learned in the design department of the JSD. Burnett became an expert wood flooring designer, installer, and refinisher. During this time, he continued writing and taking extensive notes for future projects, which might have remained stillborn had not the miracle of social media intervened. Through interactions with long-lost colleagues and new friends acquired through this medium, Burnett realized that he had been wasting his talent. 4 years ago, he began to write in a disciplined manner and had his first book of poems, Sorbet and Sweet Potato Pudding, published. Burnett has just completed volume 2 of Sorbet and Sweet Potato Pudding, which will be published in December 2019. Make a whole bunch of noise for Mr. Burnett, who burns.
A me, man. I'm say something now. All right, that's better. Good evening, everyone. Good night. Well, I'm happy to be here and sharing stage with my brethren whom used to go watch and said, John, no, that man they can write team brethren. You see it? It's a beautiful thing being here. I want to big up the people from the Brooklyn Caribbean Literary Festival. Round of applause, please. A real big round of applause. My brethren called me and him said, boy, some people are doing a thing, and I want you to go amongst them. And I said, all right, link up now. And we link up Marsha, Melanie, Chris, sister over there who hiding. Don't hide. What's your name again? All right, this is it. I can't pronounce that, but I do. Thank you. We have to talk about a man called Ewan MacDonald, who took us on a long journey supporting Caribbean literature. A lot of the people I've met around here, I met them through going to Ewan's events. And he's not here now, he's in Jamaica or Trinidad studying. You see him, the Caribbean. Could have studied at Columbia or Harvard, but he's gone back to the University of the West Indies. All right, so we just want to say his thing and this link up madness. Madness. I'm want to move it a little closer to the jump up and the thing on Eastern Parkway. And with that, I'm going to give you the explicit poem. Because this was written on a cell phone on Eastern Parkway in 2015. Right on the corner of North Strand and Eastern Parkway. Oh, this is tough. Stripes follow lines. Eyes follow stripes. No detours, no Strand and Eastern Parkway, NYPD controlled tight. Fluttering flags on poles, tall tales told, explicit in their depictions, ice, green, gold inscriptions, jostling the red, white, and blue for proper power positions. Lines follow stripes. Eyes follow lines. Lines intersect and bend. Woman drops coin and bend. Even from behind, contours abound, goading man to action. Sane man, same man, desire and overdrive, suddenly driven mad. But listen to this, seeing is believing. Wandering eyes, open mouths, involuntary shouts, bumbleclad! Hand covers mouth. Oh my God. Forgive my surprise. I'm living in carnival heaven. Okay, I'm clapping now. No worry, I saw it stay. I saw it stay. Oh boy. I saw it stay. Don't worry about it. This one is called Just at Sunrise. I must say, I'm reading from a book of poems called Sorbet and Sweet Potato Pudding. And this is livicated. Because I'm a Rasta, I'm not deal with death. We deal with transition, but we deal with life. So this is livicated to black women. All right? Yeah, kiss, oh, you mean, mwah, love or no? Nuff, nuff, nuff. So I'm in Jamaica, and there's this sistering, some sisters on the sidewalk, downtown Kingston. Now Kingston is, Kai Miller will tell you, uptown and downtown business. So we downtown. And there's sisters rubbing. You know what rubbing is? Them a bleach. I'm gonna say to the sister, why are you doing that? You're so beautiful. You're like my favorite dessert, sorbet and sweet potato pudding. And she go, how are that? So I say sorbet is a thing like crushed ice. So it's very fine crushed ice. But we're going to pair it with hot sweet potato pudding. And we're going to put the sorbet on top of the sweet potato pudding and it melts, right? And we'll lick our lips. And here is Jess at sunrise. I still remember making love to you at midnight. It was as beautiful as sunshine, as radiant as life itself, and satisfying. We danced between the silent rays, played in darkened spaces, and rested triumphantly in the quiet of your tightnesses. You asked no questions, just gave yourself tantalizingly to pleasure. Ours was the eloquence of movement redefined, the fiery hardness of nipples burrowing into chest, the pure joy of fattened lips parting to lick the everlasting sweetness of colored candy cane. Even your stillnesses were expressive. An oiled spring coiled at rest, ready to bounce into space. I remember you bounded into my arms from floor to legs around waist in one smooth movement of surprise. You were hot and burned with a desire to please. I immersed myself in your molasses pot, was drunk halfway through the night, and complete by morning. I saw you yesterday and experienced morning all over again. So now I'm just looking for a poem called Ebony Brown because it's one of my most requested one. But no matter how I mark it, just always seem to slip away from me. So this Ebony Brown has special significance to me. I refinish wooden flooring for a living, install and refinish. So if you don't have any job, this is a plug, right? Talk to me after I come off of the stage. I'm serious though. Anyway, so I went up to Yonkers to do a job for a lady, and she was a bit stiff and, a little way like that. And I kind of wondered, but I kept on working. She makes excellent coffee. And being from the Caribbean, we love coffee. We love chocolate tea too. Notice chocolate tea, coffee. We say coffee tea too. Anyway, so I showed her the book and she started to read it. And then she called me for the coffee and I took a while to get there. And when I got to the kitchen, I saw her sobbing. And I said, I wonder if I had offended her in any way. Only to find out that she read Ebony Brown and started to cry. She grew up in North America of Jamaican parents. And going to Jamaica for holidays, they'd say to her, they'd take her around the village and introduce her to the people, and they liked the way she spoke, the American accent. But Lord have mercy, she black Ema. They never liked the fact that she's a black. So she kind of grew up with a complex, not wanting to go to Jamaica. And then she meet a Jamaican man who love melanin, who love ebony, who love chocolate. The woman cried, and I said to myself, "Do you mean to say all this 32 years where you walk away from the writing business, this is what you're walking away from?" They call her Ebony Brown, but she's black. Sweet Java summer sunshine, equatorial gem of the rarest kind. She walks on hot coals, radiating heat and light, compressing cosmos into desktop glows. She sends fire blazing across Babylon, burns Rome to the ground. Men and people bow before her and attempt uselessly to hide evil deeds and malicious intent. They call her Ebony Brown, but she is black. I lick her fingertips in time to the drum beats of my heart. Sweet, sticky sauces satisfy midnight cravings. Hot pepper treats, the night food of somnambulists, feed billions. Fire gushes, exploding from a bottomless well of silence. Something stirs deep inside me. She feeds my conflagrations with perfume kindling. Miss Ebony Brown, they call her Ebony Brown, but I know that she is Ebony Brown, this mystical magician, author of my multicolored meanderings, makes all things beautifully black. Silence explode into odes as she stokes the volcanoes of my universe. Vesuvius pales in insignificance. Kilimanjaro rocks to the music of her exhalations. Victoria Falls fall in abeyance. Genuflecting nuns and priests and prostrate priests in dire need of resurrection cry. And I, humbled and satiated, smile the smile of the forever blessed. They call her Ebony Brown, but I know she is black.
Well, may I tell you? Another round of applause for Bernard Coburn, please. Kai Miller was born in Jamaica in 1978 and has written several books across a range of genres. His 2014 collection, The Cartographer Tries to Map a Way to Zion, won the Forward Prize for Best Collection, while his 2017 novel, August Town, won the Bocas Prize for Caribbean Literature, the Prix Les Afriques, and the Prix Cabé de la Caraïbe et du Tumont. My French is very rusty. Please forgive me. He is also an award winning essayist. In 2010, the Institute of Jamaica awarded him the Silver Musgrave Award medal for his contributions to literature. And in 2018, he was awarded the Anthony Sabga Medal for Arts and Letters. Kai has an MA in creative writing from Manchester Metropolitan University and a PhD in English literature from the University of Glasgow. He has taught at the universities of Glasgow, Royal Holloway, and Exeter, where he is now Professor of English and Creative Writing. He is the 2019 Ida Beam Distinguished Visiting Professor to the University of Iowa and is a Fellow of the Royal Society of Literature. He is also currently studying for a degree in winery at Trinidad and Tobago Carnival every year. Please welcome to the stage Kai Miller.
I was waiting for the worklessness in that, huh? For kind of, surely it came. Let me take out my phone. I'll try to read. Let's see what time we have. All right, I'll try to read. Probably end up being 3 poems. I'll try to get four in, but we'll see how time goes. So I'll read from a new collection. That is not quite. I mean, it's kind of out, but they're not out there. The books that are out there are good. I mean, I I have several books and they're not all good, but the ones they have are good. Uh, no, you have to be honest with yourself, right? Uh, but this new collection of poems, if uh, the title comes from a phrase that you hear all the time on the news in Jamaica, you read every day in the newspaper, and so if you're from Jamaica, you will know the kind of darkness that I'm trying to evoke with the title. It's called In Nearby Bushes. So let me read 2 points from the first section called Hair. And for this poem, you will hear lots of strange names, and they're just the names of different plants that you'll find in the Jamaican bushes. Here where blossoms the night. Here where blossom the orchids, 220 in variety. Some have adapted to bone dry places, to being purple amongst the stone. Here where blossoms Jamaican ladies of the night, I mean the flowers. Their petals, the color of weddings, their perfume, the scent of parlors. There is much that blossoms in these bushes and much that rots like Jamaican ladies of the night. I no longer mean the flowers. Here where grows the hog apple, the hog money, here where wild hogs rot at the roots of things. The trees sometimes are grunting, here where you can find the tuna, here the monkey's hand, the cow's tongue. Such things seem not to belong to bushes, but they are as much a part as the bullock's heart, the dog's tail as much a part as the broken bottles and burnt cars. Is that the right way to say it, especially here? Should I have said the heap of brook battle and the plenty bun up car here, that cannot be held by the small arms of language here, that cannot be held by the small arms of English here, that cannot be held by the English, but how they tried. Here is where they found Nanny, or where Nanny found them, where you might still find her if you believe in Kumina, the never dead of spirits Nanny. Do you know her story, her peculiar ability to catch bullets and where? Some say she could even shoot them back, but I think this was just a metaphor for the magnificent stink of her farts, that coming across a white man, she could just lift up her frock tail and clear the bush of English. Here, where is the inscrutability, the wild and passionate uproar? Here, where is the horror? Here, where you might find the war? Here, where blossoms the knife? Here, where blossoms the blade? Here, where glistens the blood? The wild mint grows here, and the wild pawpaw, and the wild sage, and the wild Caesar obia. So much wildness can be found here, where creeps the cerasee, the love bush that strangles trees. Here, where shines the raw moon being folk etymology, original word Ramoon. Here, where you will find the much improved names of things, the slow greening and rootsing of Latin. Semen contra becomes semi-contract. Semper vivum becomes simple Bible, becomes single Bible. Let the trees say amen here, where blossoms the ginger, here where blossoms the danger, here where you must pray against the loud bark of cedar. Seek God in the orchids. Ask help of archangels, though here archangels are only flowers, their petals, the color of weddings, their perfume, the scent of parlors, by which I mean the heavily powdered dead. This landscape like a wreath laid against itself, here where blossoms the natto, here where blossoms the nettle, here where blossoms the night. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Ray. Uh, Here's an odd fact. So in 1988, some idiot with money, right? Uh, Decided that in Jamaica it would be a good thing to have a Christmas show with reindeer. So they took down 6 reindeer to Jamaica, and yeah, for this Christmas show, which is great, Christmas show actually reindeer. And then, like, true story, right? Then a hurricane hit, and the reindeer escaped. And they just ran into the mountains. The weird thing is that they ran into the same mountains of Portland where the Maroons actually ran, and they did exactly what the Maroons did. They found community, they built a life. Uh, and so a recent census last year estimated that the population of Jamaican reindeer now stands at about 6,000. So true. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. He, that, yeah. That's not the point. The point is so 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 here where run the wild deer. Here where run the wild deer, the Caribbean caribou. Does this surprise you? Deer without snow, not even the possibility of snow. Here, they are like echoes of a long story, the brutal history of displace, which is not to say they are not their own stories, but that they know, as we do, the tightness of ships and how to lose whole continents and how to be wary of white men wielding whips and how to end up here. There is such a thing as the perfect storm. It includes deer in weak cages and nearby bushes. How wonderful to escape into hills that have always been escaped. They are the new maroons. At dawn, they descend on quiet hooves to loot from the estates, but maybe that isn't fair. I shouldn't say estates, but farms. On the 7 o'clock news, a man spreads his arms to show the field of ruined carrot. Have mercy, them name every God Almighty thing. And 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 then he faces camera, but is looking somewhere beyond the absent harvest, his mind lighting on memory. But Jesus Christ, them so pretty. He true story. His face now a curious thing, as if ashamed or puzzled he should recognize such beauty, the nobility of their being, or accepting too late. This may have been their payment, the price of carrots to be seen. It is easier to hear the deer whose sounds are like doors on old hinges at nights. Listen, the landscape is creaking as if these bushes open themselves to drunk men just now stumbling home. Here where the wild deer roam. Here where dried branches may not be dried branches but the majesty of antlers. Here where white flowers may not be white flowers but the blossoming of their tails, the strange warning of deer. We do not see well, but we sense you are here with us in this strange land. Will you come now to the river? Will you teach us King Alpha's song and how to survive Babylon, how to belong where we do not belong? Yeah. they try, but there's some jam it rain there. They have no behavior. Uh, so I'll read a poem from the middle of the book, and I should tell you something about the beginning of it. My book before this was called The Cartographer Tries to Map a Way to Zion. And there's a whole sequence in that about place names in Jamaica. This is a continuation of that. But this began because my good friend in England, Lizzie, she's the queen. She, no. Anyway, but seriously, so Buckingham Palace decided to put out all their gold in this kind of exhibition. And they decided to commission a poet to write a poem in response to this display of gold. And they asked me. Right, that's really stupid, right? Because you know my politics, right? But I always say this, like genuinely, I'm not lying. Genuinely, I didn't realize the poem was as political as it was until my phone started pinging and all people are saying, I can't believe Kai read that in Buckingham Palace, or I can't believe Kai read that in front of the Queen, but oh, fuck. Yeah. Place name, Oraka Bessa. Origins disputed, but most likely leave over from the Spanish ora cabeza, golden head. Though what gold was here other than light glinting off the bay, other than bananas bursting out from red flowers, though this too is disputed, not the flowers, but the origin of bananas. They may have come here with Columbus on a ship, which in 1502 slipped into Aracabessa the way grief sometimes slips into a room. In those days, the sailor tried to name the island Santiago, as if not knowing we already had a name in another language, a language whose speakers would soon all die, though this too is disputed, not the deaths, but the completeness of genocide. For consider, if you will, such leave over words as hurricane, consider barbecue, consider Jamaica, land of wood and water, but not of gold. Could someone please go back in time and tell Columbus in Taino there is no word for gold? Christopher Columbus, in Italiano Cristoforo Colombo, in Espanol Cristobal Colon. A teacher once told me colon is root word for colonist, and though I know that was false etymology, there is some truth to it. Oraka Bessa, at which place you might find such tranquil villas as Golden Ridge, Golden Cloud, Golden Eye, longtime home of Ian Fleming, who sat there on cliff's edge, the morning's breakfast brought to him by a woman named Doris, the scent of ackee and crisp fried breadfruit wafting up to his nostrils, while between his teeth he bit a number two pencil all the time, looking out to sea as if fishing for a story, maybe a man, an incredible man. Let's call him Bond. James Bond. Who knew 007 wasn't actually Scottish, but a barefoot boy from St. Mary, Jamaica? Like so many others, he too migrated the brutish winter, cooling his complexion down to white. Such stories. Gold finger, golden eye, the man with the golden gun. Did you never stop to wonder where all this gold came from? Did you never stop to ask what was found in El Dorado? Well, let me tell you, not a nugget, not an ounce of ore, but light gilding the bay, and perhaps bananas, and perhaps ackee, and such language as could summon wind to capsize Columbus's ships. And if that's not gold, then what is? Do I have time for one more? Okay. All right, respect. So I'll go back to this section here. Here, and this is a strange poem. So I accept every friend request on Facebook, right? So my Facebook is just random, like yeah, so pure bacchanal. Yeah. Uh, so sometime early this year. All right. The background to this is I think Jamaica, in a lot of people's imagination, one of the reputations that we have is as a pretty homophobic country. And I think sometimes, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, that has been an unfair designation. Jamaica has changed a lot. Uh, but I think people like to have, especially kind of foreigners, you know, well, like anyway, it's easy to imagine the Caribbean as a place of kind of savagery, and it's easy to hold on to that. But that, as I said, the Caribbean is a complicated place. But sometimes when you see, at least for me, when I see that kind of flare up again, it kind of catches me by surprise, and I think, shit, Jamaica can be that space. It can be really unwelcoming to some people. And so this comes out of that. As somebody who I actually don't know, but is a friend on Facebook, he was giving a Facebook Live testimony. And he said, and he had just been run out of his community because he was gay. And the phrase that he said, which is the epigraph of this poem, which caught me by surprise, he said, when me leave the community, me did have to walk through the bushes, because if me did take the road, they would have killed me. A psalm for gay boys. Here that is the confession and the truth and the softness amongst the thorns, where the married men roam at night, their trousers unzipped, where we are kissed by the same lips that curse us, where we suck the salt from each other's necks, but only at night, where we hide, where we are never hidden. Where are the shadows being our refuge and strength, a present help on the day of judgment? Where is the judgment? Where is no judgment? Where is the escape? But only at night, when the married men chase us and curse us with the same lips, where we run to, where we stop running, where men hang their jackets in trees, where the moon reveals the shapes of shoulders floating like Scott's apostrophe to pain, a landscape of strange lynchings. Where is the sobbing? Where is the eyeing? Where we trace our fingers against each other's bare and trembling backs, where we kneel, where our mouths are full of things harder than prayers. Where is the away from home and the way home and the roadway in the wilderness and the way where there was no way, where we come to again and again and again? Here, that is the limbered land, a place between places, the ends of the earth. Here, that is the hear my cry, O Lord, my God, attend now to my needs. Thank you.
Wow, y'all. Wow, wow. Kai, Roger Bonnet Agard is a native of Trinidad and Tobago and Brooklyn. He is author of Tarnish and Masquerade, 2006, Gully, 2010, Bury My Clothes, 2013, which was longlisted for the National Book Award and won the Society of Midland Authors Award for Poetry, and Where Brooklyn At, 2016. Among the places his poetry and prose have been published are Ratapalax, Louisville University Review, Union Station Magazine, Harvard Review Online, Gulf Coast, Academy of American Poets, Poem a Day, Drunken Boat, Poetry Magazine Online, Callaloo, Apex Magazine, Crab Orchard Review, and in several anthologies. Rogers writing residence at Brooklyn's National Sawdust, co-founder of New York City's Louder Arts Project, and frontman of the band Miyamoto is Black Enough, a Kave Kanem Fellow. Roger is creator and facilitator of the Baldwin Protocols reading series and the Baldwin Protocols, a series of art-based interventions in the form of workshops, seminars, and lectures, which help students of color and first-generation students traverse the potential pitfalls of life in primarily white institutions of higher learning. Roger has taught creative writing at every level from kindergarten to Research One universities. He is program director, teaches and writes on pedagogy and curriculum design with free rights, arts, and literacy at Cook County Juvenile Temporary Detention Center and Cook County Jail Division 10, Chicago, Illinois. He is the father of Uma, Nina, and Arima, and we have drunk 3/4 of a bottle of rum already for the evening. Roger Bonnet Agard.
Thank you to Brooklyn Caribbean Literary Festival. So I'm only reading one poem, so I better give you a little background. Um, so in about the mid 1800s, a work called the Epic of Gilgamesh was found on tablets somewhere in what is modern day Iraq. I don't know, some of you may or may not have studied the Epic of Gilgamesh, but it is understood to be the earliest example of literature in the world. It's older than the Bible. The subject of the story is pretty much biblical itself. It centers on Gilgamesh, who is a kind of asshole, who's stronger and badder than everybody. And when you're going and get married, he brushing your wife before you. He beating anybody he feel like. But the people also love him because he's strong and beautiful and charismatic and everything. But the people pray to our God, right, to get somebody at least strong enough as him, so he got have some balance in the world. So the gods put a man in the bush, cover him in here, and the man running around with animals and thing. And they decided, well, we had to get him out the bush to come and handle Gilgamesh. So they sent a woman who was a holy prostitute, Shamat, to go and pull Enkidu from the bush and shave him down, and she and Enkidu make love for a week straight. And when they're done, none of the animals want to talk to Enkidu again. So Enkidu becomes this kind of savage figure, this kind of Caliban figure. And in this work that is being curated by Nayama Sandy in the front here, um, this really amazing Guyanese visual artist named Ivan Ford has done this entire treatment of the Epic of Gilgamesh in which he centers Enkidu, and he centers Enkidu's story. And so we got into this whole discussion. We got into, is Enkidu actually black? Like what the story is. Is this England's way of trying to justify empire, etc., etc.? And I started writing in response to Ivan's works. One of the big centers of the book is Gilgamesh is looking for legacy, right? He wants to live forever in the minds of people. So he says, let me go and kill Humbaba. Humbaba is the guardian of the forest. And Humbaba, bad, bad, bad. Everybody afraid Humbaba. Enkidu say, Humbaba, let me live good in the forest. Why go in and fuck with Humbaba for, right? And he say, nah, we gotta go and kill Humbaba. And he say, nah, leave me out of that. And Gilgamesh say, well, I'll go in anyway. And if I go alone, I'll dead. But if you come with me, I'll get through. So Enkidu say, all right, I'll come with you. Of course, they kill Humbaba, they burn down the forest. And the upshot of the story is Enkidu end up dead. And then Gilgamesh is forlorn and heartbroken and spends the rest of his life looking for enlightenment after the man dead, right? So this piece is based on that moment, the assassination of Humbaba, an allegory. One. All the good gods got together that day to pay respects or to witness or to participate in the grand beheading. The head was to be removed, and no Orisha worth a mouthful of gin or rum or honey or seawater could be seen to be absent. When the ground called for blood, all who made the world made the journey to consecrate the spot, decide what next should be made fertile from such complicated dirt. Humbaba was beautiful and wore his blue easy, like a saga boy one day and a matador the next. He liked good gold, wore a thick chain and a single dangling earring, would casually rock a cape or a crown cocked sideways. Women said his name in clusters and it sounded like a ballad, so he came to know himself as a song. He thought nothing of referring to himself as a note, or if he was feeling thunderous or was deep in his waters, a whole chord progression. And then he could be a noise in the key of steel dragging across concrete, a strong woman's guttural orgasms, a yard full of cruel children shrieking. It's not that no one ever told him they were coming, that he would be found guilty. He was always asking of what he couldn't imagine, that he would be sentenced to death. It's that for all his power, he couldn't see what the blue was blocking. He couldn't see he wasn't spending enough time preparing for the war that would come, enlisting the Egun and the very psalms that got built in the calling of his name. So the Orishas came to consecrate his head and light a flame where the blood touched the water. They come in their finest. Eshu dressed in a riddle to whisper in the ear of the uncadavered head. Yemaya to name and reclaim her understood blue. Oshun to sweeten the body for the resurrection. Ogun come to sharpen the elbow bones and shins into instruments the new body could use. And in a rare reverse sweep of a cricketing move, Shango showed the gathered a rum dance meant to inspire control and wisdom in the flesh. A veteran move, the no-look pass of Orisha benedictions. Real starboy thing just like Shango like, but with a first line to begin the narrative anew. With our first line to begin the narrative anew, a new pronouncement on the proceedings, the ceremony of the blade that sever Humbaba from Humbaba come to be just a footnote. The gathered who come there, respectful in their raiments, singing the correct songs made of the approved chords, setting the table with correct harvested foods, see that the Orisha didn't come to gloat on the follies of man, didn't come to just make up riddles and trials for a man to overcome, just to make themselves laugh. The gathered realize what all the elements of God come together could actually mean if people kind open themselves to the energy in the colors and the song you could hear running bass line from the stems of cut flowers and the pulling of herbs. 2. Had Enkidu known better? Had Enkidu thought ahead? Had Enkidu recognized he was writing the history of the world, that his life was the breath of a revelation's horseman, that more than being turned into man, he was sent as his savior, son of the Most High, revealer and forgetter of the speech of animals, revenant of the most significant Odu of Oshun, definer of human will, he would have led Gilgamesh to the sea, away from Humbaba, the terrible, away from the first assumption of the body of man, the Anansi conundrum, that to recognize the world and name it is to begin a deconstruction of the cellular self and try to pronounce God and mash up everything. A simple offering to Ogun, maker of roads, the one who tunes machetes on a blues riff scale and sings along until Duende is undone, the one who poets to make peace with the grinding of gears of steel and iron and the song of megabytes, the one they call blind Samson of the engine room, would have divined to Enkidu that there was more at stake in the love he shared with Gilgamesh than the complex folly of murdering Humbaba. He had been tricked once and survived, already knew that to be dragged into Lajabless Aunt's nest is a simpler penance than rattling the braided bars of Papa Boa's self-imposed cage. Familiar with Humbaba's mandate, Enkidu had to surmise his own death was among the consequences of Gilgamesh's brash and headless surge into the future in search of immortality. After all, hadn't Enkidu himself survived the mountains and plains and streams, the ecological inclination of predators to separate bowel from body? 3. Gilgamesh is Marlowe. Gilgamesh is Columbus. Gilgamesh is Magellan. Lapu Lapu is Humbaba's great grandson. Gilgamesh is General Custer. Crazy Horse is Humbaba's great grandson. Gilgamesh is Cortez, is Pizarro. Gilgamesh is Winston Churchill. Gilgamesh is Napoleon Bonaparte. Gilgamesh is Theodore Roosevelt. Is both Bush presidencies. Gilgamesh is Captain Baker on horseback trying to end carnival. Joe Talmana is Humbaba reincarnate, wielding the Cedar Forhurst's final weapon. Enkidu is Walter Rodney, is Steve Biko, is Denmark Vesey, is Nat Turner, is Jean-Jacques Dessalines, is El Haj Malik Shabazz. Sloppy analogies, just like Gilgamesh finding his way eventually, one day, after breaking everything in search of legacy, in search of a name scrawled on a wall, bled in marble. Enkidu buries his clothes in search of beauty, misunderstanding his own, leaves the label on the record, betrays his breaks and beats, a naive wirebender leaving his frames to rust in the rain. What verses does he have for Humbaba's final unscaffolding, the dirt below them gathering blood and spit, the final reckoning of the earth's last song of gravity? 4. Only the women come out to dance. Men barrel wrote the dirt. Only the women drum and catch the spirit. Yemaya torso was a whip and a weeping for the memory of the sea. She slide along limb under and wheel her body a wave to wash the bembe. Style and richness, sweat on the bosom of the deep, threat in how the shoulders square and unsquare. Oya sweep the air with a short broom. She calls storm and hurricane herself from the center. So all the kerchiefs or spirits or sails of slave ships to come become a shelter for Humbaba pyre, for Humbaba final fire. The men in and white chorusing, but still speechless. Oya making and ripening same time, but nobody know towards what. All was clear was she was a Jaya. And Shango come and pay the proper respect, finally to lend the axe of thunder and lightning, like axes was a thing anybody wanted to ever talk about again. But Saga boy he know how to flex weapon as plowshare and back again. And so he leap, and so he fling, and so he consecrate the rolled dirt. But it was Oshun who decreed that Humbaba might live again. It's Oshun who come in like a groundskeeper to wet the pitch and make the bounce true, to lay a carpet of grass and growth to make the earth anew. Oshun know all this begin in her purview. So clear she shared the shh of the sea and the rushing of rivers with Ishtar and Shamat, the beginning of the unwilding of Enkidu, which bring them here finally to the potash of Humbaba's blood, begging the tilth of scorched cedars. And always is Oshun work to carry prayers skyward, to call the bees to their holy transport, to honey the earth back to itself again. And so she come in smiling, all teeth and roiling hips, whole funeral feel like a flowering, like a sermon in prediction of death and resurrection, like the Orisha might win. Shango lean in and tell Oya a dirty joke, and he grind his hips twice down into her backside, and she who don't make joke couldn't help but laugh. And Oshun was winged, and Oshun was a wave, and Oshun was a bucking horse, and the blood of Humbaba was a field of poppies, the first real signifier of a people who refused to dead, who come in again, who turned death into a song of generations, and Humbaba bleed out right there into a new field and new growth, and even those who were forced to tell the story had to stammer on the verses, make sure there was a song in their throats, for Humbaba would have it so, until they got it right.
Well, I say. I forget the paper down. You see, it confused me. It totally just confused my whole life there. Thank you so much.
So, y'all having a good time so far? I want to thank the Center for Fiction. I want to thank all of you who came out here tonight. I don't know what the CNF crew feel about the festival so far, but I did create a success.
Shay. Who backs lost? Who backs lost?
Yeah, who gets lost?
Butcher Hut? Okay. Okay. Ras Atiba, international dub poet and founder of Sarabita Mondays, is a multifaceted artist and visionary. Born in Allman Town, Kingston, Jamaica, Atiba attributes his entry into the genre to the great Oku Onura, father of Jamaican dub poetry. Atiba, which means understanding in the Yoruba language, exemplifies what is meant by the saying, the poet becomes the poem. His masterful wordplay, blended with the sounds and power of the Sarabita world band musicians, will carry the listener on a global journey that spans across generations. Most recently, Rasatiba and the Sarabita World Band performed at the historic Reggae by Nature in Woodstock, New York. Please join us in welcoming Rasatiba.
Oh, come here. Well, tonight I'm feeling good. I don't know how I reach here tonight. I want to give thanks to Mr. Byrne and Co-Byrne. You call me and say, Rasatiba, them have a book festival and go on, and I want you to be a part of it. Really and truly, I'm not familiar with this community. I mainly hang out with the dancehall people and so forth. And them call them grassroots. So this is kind of sophisticated for me tonight. So I have with me the t- the famous Douglas Guthrie is going to accompany me on stage with the saxophone. All right. Read the dub poetry. Kai, we Kai there. You're bad, but good. Yeah. Because your accent and sound nothing like Jamaican, you're a trick way. But anyway, when you mention certain places, yeah, but me a look at Trinidad and in your too. Say hang out with enough Trinidad. Anyway, tonight, I want to share dub poetry, some chatting, and I want to do a first piece called Something Cooking in My Kitchen. And this is about my great grandmother, Nini. She was a turn cornmeal specialist. And in my country, we turn cornmeal for our pet, the dog. But if you touch hard times and you have to eat some turn cornmeal, you never dare go tell your neighbor, say eat some turn cornmeal. So hear this one now. There is something cooking in my kitchen, and no beef, and no steak, and no chicken. And some ton cornmeal, few grain of red peas, one coconut to make the pot taste sweet. And who feels it, knows it, and who knows it, feels it all. Pressure. Them a come with them tanker. Them a come with them jeep. Fi come pressure we. Go and go look for robber. No worry, check we. For this is the unemployment street. Officials are talk about our unemployment. That is a worldwide problem. Them a talk about with them on the streets. It's not a nice place to be. University grads and college grads hanging out on the streets. The homeless population are increase. My mother and my father are still planning for a brighter tomorrow. They woke up this morning, their whole life were in sorrow. Who feels it, knows it, and who knows it, feels it all. Pressure, pressure. Who feels it, knows it, and who knows it, feels it all. Pressure, pressure. There is something cooking in my kitchen. And no beef, and no steak, and no chicken. And some turn corn meal, few grain of red peas. Yeah. You see, when we do this poem, think about the hard life in the ghetto where many youth have to face on a daily. Many of us pass our common entrance, get a degree, and after leaving school, there is no work. But we hold healthy conversation in our community. We are the role models, the Rastafarians. You know, say the Rasta man, we have to talk about ganja. Yeah. But now come up here and talk about ganja. Serious. Hear it. This morning, I woke up in a curfew. Oh God, I was a prisoner too. Could not recognize the faces standing over me, yeah. They were all dressed in uniforms of brutality. How many rivers do we have to cross before we could talk to the boss. Stop. Stop the folly. No more jail time for Cali. Stop the folly. No more jail time for Cali. Wrap up a draw of the good sensei where the doctor say it's not good for me. Oh, I think it's good enough for me. Medicinal purpose we want it. Medicinal purpose we use it. So stop the folly. No more jail time for Cali. Many youths in Brooklyn around the world get incarcerated for this blessed herb. And I hope now that rich people are wealthy people, people who don't look like we, can benefit from this plant. But as I say, remember the youths who suffer. Many family got broken up because of marijuana. Cut Mr. Douglas Guthrie. We are going at some thing, like some deep, yeah, yeah. What a degradation. Wait till them come. What a degradation of a nation whose civilization brought elevation, concentration, positive vibration to the children of Zion. Where are the children of Zion? By the river of Babylon, singing those strange songs. Innocent, vulnerable, never taught yet, having visions of the river Nile. Passing the worst was mandatory. During those ordeal, we got our distinction. The seed you plant, the crop you will reap. So don't force I to accept your man-made regime. You harvest your grape, you bottle your wine. Your aging process will take some time. We pass through the heat, now we pasteurize. Jah bless you, she will bless I and I. My time is my time. Your time is your time. Nature created a volcano to lose its calm. Involuntary motion that speak straight from the heart. Now is the time to cultivate this world with truth, honesty, and love. My time and my time. Perfect love. Perfect love. All right. I have to do a love poem. Yes. Give thanks. Yeah. Lock off the music, then, my brother. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Lock off the music. I'm going to do a love poem. When I first landed in this country, like 20 enough years ago, I remember the first woman I hug up. So I say, I have to write a poem about her. We held so tight all through the night. I refused to let go the new love I held. For it was so nice, it was so sweet. You ever know? When the morning came, I had to yard leave. But one thing for sure, I went back for more of the ambience vibe, the spiritual vibe, plus something unusual. Drove by psyche. Wild. It was so nice. It was so sweet. A sincere woman is a close friend to a man. Someone who is always protective of her loved ones. I thank you. For you have turned my gray sky blue. And for that, my love, I will always be grateful to you. It was so nice. It was so sweet. We held so tight all through the night. I refused to let go the new love I held. Woman, me love you know. And I worship woman, woman of God. Yes. We grew up a call man God. But for the last 25 years, I may say, you know what? I will start call my mother God first. And the first time I call her God, she said, don't do that. God is a man. I may say, Jesus and peace. Them indoctrinate you. So the people who born at the 40s, them not like woman and man. Them not gonna say woman and God. But I am here to say, all woman are goddess, equal with man. All right. Me I go touch a last piece and then we run. Yes. And one more little piece, but you have to join me in this one because I saw my love for do it. All the while I come out and watch poets and I want to be a part of the thing. You know, the stand by me, tu tu tum, tum, tu tu tum, come tum, tu tu tum, 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 tum. And this is my life, is not the nice type. And every time I stop fi check my life, I break down in tears. I wonder why we just a fuss, a fight. Me water rate a come, me light bill too high. Me landlord a come, hold with me stove no light. And if we don't unite, things don't go right. Gonna stop the fuss, the fight, and me say rise up, you mighty race. Take your stand and hold your place. At the innocent feel the plight. When we fuss and we fight. And this is my life, is not the nice type. And every time I stop fi check my life, I break down in tears. I wonder why we just a fuss, a fight. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I nah shed no tears. Just as long as you stand by me. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Make some noise for Ras and Tima. We'd like to ask everybody to come back up on stage now, please. All the people who are here. Please also the BCLF crew who worked tirelessly to bring you so that you all can give them your love, see who they are. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Come forward, come forward. Come forward. Come forward, forward. Come forward, come forward. Come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, laureates of the Caribbean.
Thank you so much, Roger, for being such a great host and walking with your own rum.